The Cayman GT4 is an all-time favorite among petrolheads. It comes with precision, usable power and a relatively affordable pricing in today's day and age. But it gets even better. While you were ripping up those twisties, your GT4 hardly lost any value. Amidst the above average depreciation rates in the market, GT4 prices stood tall. Now for some buyers, this tale of price stability might enhance their desire to own one. Yet, for those who were hoping for a bargain, it might be the last thing they want to hear. But for the latter group, I also have some good news. Prices might dip soon, and that could be the perfect moment to get yourself into a GT4. First we'll compare the latest price developments in the GT4 market and compare them to the general sports and supercar market. After that we'll have a look at the scarcity level and I'll show you which data points indicate that the market might dip soon. Oh, and before I forget, there's a little bonus content at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Let's start with the price trends. Over here we have in orange the 981 and in blue the 718. Now if we look at these trends, we can see that the 718 is approximately $30,000 more expensive, but that the prices developed in a similar fashion. Prices of course surged during the pandemic. Between December 2020 and May 2022, they increased by 26.8% in the 718 market and by 30.7% in the 981 market. And in monetary terms, this means that we're looking at pluses of $31.5 and $27.7 thousand. It's clear that these are enormous numbers. Now following the prices over time, we can see that May 2022 was also the market top. In line with the general sports and supercar market, there was a correction. Within 2 periods, prices dropped by 9 and 11%. And also these are serious numbers and certainly above normal depreciation rates. However, November 2022 also marked a clear break with the general market. Depreciation rates in the sports and supercar market decreased and in some cases even went down to 0. But there are very few markets in which prices increased with this kind of momentum. Just have a look at my recent videos to see how different these trends are from the market trends. Now this upward momentum that ignited during last winter also drives the excellent year-over-year price change. Compared to last year, 718 prices are down by 2.5% or $3.5 thousand and 981s didn't change. Moreover, I looked a bit deeper into this and I found that high mileage 981s, so the ones with more than 11.6 thousand miles, even increased by 4%. Now before we compare these year-over-year price changes to the market, we need to discuss a few peculiarities. The first one is the difference between the manual and PDK 718s. That's a short discussion, because there isn't really one. PDK cars are newer and are therefore priced a bit higher, but the price changes are similar to the manual market. The second one is inflation. Many of you asked me to include inflation adjusted numbers, and I finally got around to implement this functionality. Looking at the inflation adjusted trends, we can see that both generations lost approximately 13% between May of this year and May of last year, and that prices are roughly at the same level as at the beginning of the pandemic. Going forward though, we'll work with the nominal year-over-year price changes of 2.5% in the 718 market and 0% in the 981 market. You see, it turns out that these numbers are exceptionally low when we compare them to the general sports and supercar market. Over here we have the price changes in that sports and supercar market. On the horizontal axis you can see the year-over-year price changes in percentages, and on the vertical axis the number of cars to which this change applies. And this is based on most cars that feature on my channel. For example, you can see that there are only 2 cars that gained more than 20% during the last 12 months. On average though, prices are down by 8.5% and most cars lost between 4.4 and 13%. And you can already see what this means for the GT4. With minus 2.5% and 0%, they clearly outperformed the majority of the market. It are the older cars like the F355, 996 GT3 and 458 Speciale that did better. So why are prices so incredibly strong for GT4s? Well, supply is relatively low while demand is relatively high. In other words, the scarcity level in the market is quite high, especially compared to some other cars. A quick look at the supply graph reveals that there is a good chance that 718 supply already topped. Right after the introduction, there were of course a lot new cars that flooded the market, but this supply got turned over and eventually was replaced by used cars. After all, you cannot order a 718 GT4 anymore. Since last winter, Supply has only consisted out of used cars and it has been decreasing. Supply in the 981 market tends to fluctuate at around 20 cars, but can peak up to 40 cars in the beginning of the winter. Now the GT4 market consists currently out of 64 cars, but that number itself isn't too informative. You see, it needs to be related to the number of people that want to buy a GT4, or in other words, the demand. I don't know how we could measure that one directly, but we can look at an indirect measure, something that shows the scarcity level in the market. Over here we have the carried over inventory, and this shows the percentage of cars in the current period that was also for sale in the previous period. So the higher the number, the more cars that didn't sell in the previous 3 months, the lower the scarcity level. Now in line with what we could expect, the graph shows that the market slowed drastically during 2022. Cars were for sale longer and longer, and as we saw before, this resulted in above average depreciation rates. However, especially since the beginning of this year, the 981 market has been on fire. The share of carried over inventory dropped from 48 to 0%. So this means that in the last 2 periods, almost all cars of the preceding period were sold. The reduction in the 718 market is also significant, but less impressive than in the 981 market. Alright, let's take a moment and gather our thoughts a little bit. We saw a lot of data, but the story behind the data is quite clear, right? It brings a lot of good news for owners. They basically lost nothing during last year if their mileage increase was in line with the average. Buyers though might be disappointed. Seeing prices fall at above average rates might have sparked a bit of hope that GT4s would become a bit more affordable. But alas, the price decrease was only short-lived. Now if you belong to this group of potential buyers, I might have some good news for you. Prices could dip soon. Yes, dip, not plummet. Winter is coming and there are 3 data points that could indicate that this comes with price decreases. It's of course highly speculative, as we cannot predict prices without an evidence-based model. But bear with me. First of all, prices dipped during the last 2 winters. We can see that the price increase halted during the winter of 2022, and that they were also relatively low in the winter of 2023. Moreover, the most recent development shows a fading momentum, setting up the price trend for lower prices during the winter. Second, we can see that the carried over inventory in the 981 market peaked during the last 2 winters. First at 24% and then at 48%. Another peak in the upcoming winter could of course help to turn the price trend down. Third, the prices for the carried over inventory appear to drop by quite a bit during the winter. Over here we can see now that at the end of 21 there was a 4% discount on carried over 718s, and that this was 4 to 5% in 2022 for 981s and 718s. And it appears to be decreasing again for the 718 towards the end of 2023. The last point for the 981 is only based on 1 car, so please ignore this data point. Again, all of this forecasting of a potential dip is of course highly speculative, so you should use this information as such. Now summing up everything that we've seen so far, we can say that the GT4 outperformed many other car markets. At depreciation rates of 0 and 2.5%, it belongs to the top performance. And this is good news for owners, but a bit disappointing for buyers who are hoping for a further price decrease. Yet, as we saw, the potential winter dip could be a good buying opportunity. Normally I would wrap up the video right now, but the Cayman market is of course much larger than the GT4s. I will then also provide a market update for the other models in a separate video. Yet, there's one model that doesn't really fit with a base or GTS. Exactly, the GT4 RS. I know that some of you asked about that market, so let's discuss it in this video. A GT4 RS starts at roughly $160,000, but adds ceramic brakes, magnesium wheels and the WiseTech pack, and you suddenly need to bring $210,000. Yet, you still can't have one for that price. As with most RS models, prices are above MSRP after the launch. Over here we can see that the median price is currently $287,000, and that this is 6% or roughly $18,000 less than in February. Supply has been stable at 10 to 12 cars, but was extremely low in November 22. Only 1 car was listed for sale, and that means that we cannot use this data point. So overall we can see that prices are coming down, but the decrease rate appears to be decreasing. And on that note we arrived at the end of this video. Now, if you enjoy this data-driven way of analyzing car markets, but would like to see an analysis for a different car, head over to my channel. Over there you'll find market updates for a large variety of cars. Can't find the car you're looking for? Let me know the name of the car for which you would like to see an analysis by commenting it down below in the comment section. Once there are enough requests for a certain car, I'll make a video about it. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next week for a new video.